The sounds you are about to hear are the sounds of man and his world, echoes of the universal ambience of this unique rendezvous of man, past, present, and future. It is your world.
Man the creator.
World's Fair.
Man and Colour.
Geodesic
Man and the Ocean.
Multi-speaker.
Glass.
Sound diffusion.
Triple screen.
Skyride.
Expo Express.
Man in control. Serial sound structure.
Mini ride.
Circle vision.
Passcode modulation.
360-degree wraparound.
Building glass, aluminium, plastic.
Music.
Expo
World
67.
Man the producer.
Man and the polar regions.
Space frame.
British truncated tetrahedrons.
Polymer. Neuron.
Man
Convex
in
community.
Man
Kaleidoscope.
Confusion of roofscapes.
Habitat.
Multi-screen
Imagination of
process.
people in the 1960s. Sound fusion.
Expo 67 was a moment in the futuristic imagination of the 60s. The whole experience was a model of how we would live, how we would plan urban life on Earth and also on the moon.
It was an international exhibition of the first category.
The sanction of the International Bureau of Exhibitions in Paris.
The first decision of the International Bureau of Expositions was to give the fair to Moscow. And into the breach leapt Montreal Mayor Jean Drapeau, the one Canadian whose faith in Expo 67
Montreal flag with his eye on the future.
Listen! We'll build islands. How? They're digging a subway, remember? You take it from there, and you put it here.
I would like to declare the groundbreaking ceremony officially open. Let the pile driving commence.
The groundbreaking is on.
12 months and 25 million tons of fill later.
Construction of artificial islands in the middle of the St. Lawrence.
Expo started to rise like a fairy story out of this river.
Canada has certainly one of the most spectacular sites for a fair ever here in Montreal.
There's going to be games and songs.
We have a good chance to having one of the most unique and successful exhibitions in the history of the world.
From Place des Nations, the official opening of the Universal and International Exhibition of 1967.
To inaugurate officially the 1967 Universal and International Exhibition.
April 27, 1967.
62 countries are represented here, and our broadcast of the opening ceremonies of the fair this afternoon is also international. Place des Nations, a 6,000-seat open-air amphitheater that is near the center part of the 1,000-acre
site. That is the superb panorama. And this world showpiece, this place of the nations, is basking in the sun.
Expo is much more than a great Canadian achievement of design and planning and construction. It's a monument to man. It tells the exciting and inspiring story of a world that belongs not to any one nation, but to every nation.
The time is now exactly 9:29.
Come through the turnstile and visit Expo in the dimension of sound. Greets our ears as the doors open. Watch out for the pedicab.
No theme could have been more fitting then for our times than man and his world. With 62 countries, a record number, contributing of their skill and their artistry to the exciting result that has been achieved.
There are 62 national pavilions
51 miles of roads and
what a study in
27
contrast they are.
847 buildings.
As a guest, the Expo visitor spends half his time in queues, one quarter actually looking at things, and the other quarter getting from place to place.
I remember long lineups. Huge lineups. Huge lineups.
People were waiting for hours and hours in line.
3 days after the opening of Expo, we had a crowd of 525,000 people on the site.
An immense
just saw that there was another way of living, and it was extraordinarily exciting.
A 250-foot geodesic bubble designed by Buckminster Fuller, the architect-philosopher.
A space train bubble, 250 feet in diameter, sitting so lightly on its grassy mound that it looked as though it would be punctured and deflated each time the mini-rail train pushed its way through its translucent skin.
It's a fresh, light-hearted approach, with a mini-rail running zanily through the middle.
The man who designed the dome, American conservationist and architect Buckminster Fuller, called it his vision of the future, a way of doing more with less. Said it was his Taj Mahal, for one magic summer it was.
An illustration of the various forms of creative energy which are at work in the United States. Forward-looking nature of our society, an experimentalist nature.
Ticket for American Pavilion.
The most impressive part of the American approach is the pavilion building itself.
A vast transparent bubble 20 stories high.
We're inside the glimmering dome of the United States, where a film is picturing children's games.
So there's cowboys, Indians, vinyl-skirted hostesses, movie stars, Elvis Presley's guitar, rag dolls, Debbie Reynolds' bed, impressive display of the space achievements, and the longest escalator in the world. The Americans seem to say, you know what we can do. This is just for fun.
Not all has gone smoothly and well at Expo 67. Today, there was a near ugly international incident. This feeling over U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War hit the U.S. pavilion.
Expo had its fun today with the peaceniks, with the anti-U.S. position in Vietnam demonstrators. Entered the U.S. pavilion and promptly took off jackets and coats displaying T-shirts with anti-American symbols such as genocide. In moved very polite and hospitable U.S. officials. Last card told them they could even sit down in chairs if they wanted to and offered them Coke. They sat beneath the portrait of Lyndon Johnson.
That's right where you expect them to be, and that's the way you expect them to look, I think.
The Montreal police would like to have taken us out quickly.
Their marksmanship is no better than their drill. Visitors to Expo are best advised to take cover.
It's been suggested they're almost a valid part of a U.S. exhibition in close proximity to Lyndon Johnson photograph.
The peaceniks today at Expo, and they're still sitting there in the U.S. pavilion.
A 200-yard stroll separates the U.S. and Russia at Expo. This is an easy location for that fascinating comparison that thousands make here each day, sometimes waiting an hour in line to do it. The Russian pavilion, by comparison, is impressive, but some complain ponderous and overbearing.
The Soviet pavilion looks on the outside like a giant ski jump, rising to a height of 138 feet and surrounded by glass.
The huge sweeping roof, a magnificent feature of this fair, full of Sputniks and magnificent.
The highly extrovert and somewhat naive Russian pavilion. In effect, a glass box stuffed with hardware as an old-fashioned department store.
The Russians seem determined to show the visitor as much as possible.
Folk art, architecture.
In the Soviet pavilion, we watch a grinding machine operate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Moscow House of Fashions welcomes.
In keeping with Man and His World theme of Expo, the theme of our pavilion is everything in the name of man for the benefit of man.
The Russian pavilion appeared at its best after dark, when the brilliantly lighted contents sparkled through its transparent walls like a showcase full of jewels.
The delegation, led by Dmitry Polyansky, the first deputy chairman of the Council of the Soviet Union, spent some time at the Soviet pavilion to bind our countries closer together.
I remember hosting a number of Russian visitors, one of the Russian cosmonauts.
The building, a prefabricated steel structure with a sweeping cantilever aluminium roof, dramatic in its geometry.
The
before us on the next island, but dominating our view straight ahead, there's the British Pavilion Tower, stark and white and sheer as the cliffs of Dover, 200 feet high, with a giant, solid, three-dimensional Union Jack
Here
on top
is
of
the
it.
soaring white cliff structure of Great Britain.
But only revealed its contents as you will find inside it.
That's a group of Montreal school children singing by the river near the British Pavilion.
Britain in the world, industrial Britain, shaping the nation.
Electronic music, experimental sound,
Sources of power, triple screen, sound diffusion, progress, science fiction, genius, escalating
played live from a bank of oscillators.
electoral description, Britain's about suspense.
Say, here comes the hovercraft. Look at that thing go. It rides on a cushion of air above the water.
Giving rides to visitors, impressing them with this British invention and making a lot of noise.